Dickenson developed a unique new method of her own. She compared a loaded gun to the mood of waiting eagerly for a lover's coming. In this poem, love isn't soft any longer. As soon as her lover turned up in front of her, the constrained emotion would be triggered off at any moment. It expresses the longing for love exactly in the poem number 549. That I did love, always love, I bring thee proof. That I loved, I did not love enough. That I love, that I shall love always, I offer thee. That love is life, and life hath immortality. This dost thou doubt, sweet, then have I nothing to show but cavalry. She said that life is love. Love is life. Dickinson combines the love and death, and she thought life is beautiful. Love is most important. Life and death depended on each other. Only through cavalries of love we can be mortal and achieve new marriage. Love transcends the death and become a firm belief which hold up her life, distillate her soul, and enrich her poems. Death and life. In Emily's poetry, there are 600 written with the death as theme. They are profound thoughts of the relationship between death and life, death and eternity. So I put two themes together. Please read the following lines. A word is dead when it is said. Some say, I say it just begins to live that day. For, for Emily Dickinson's, death is not an ending, it is a new beginning. Death is another form of life, people taking on it when they were born. Life and death cannot be departed because they are united entirely. Entirety. Emily faced the death bravely, for she had known clearly the essence of death. In a poem of death, the view of death is completely and clearly revealed, especially in the poem Because I Could Not Stop for Death. It has greatest achievement. Please read the first stanza. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held, but just ourselves and immortality. Death is just personified as a people picking up her up and going with her. From here we can see her calmness when she is confronted with death. We slowly drove, he knew no haste, and I had put away my labor and my leisure too, for his civility. They don't hurry, and the poet requite death and putting away her labor and leisure. Apparently, she has regarded death as a friend. We passed the school where children played as wrestling in a ring. We passed the fields of gazing grain. We passed the setting sun. In this stanza, the parallelism implies that poet has a strong attachment to life. So the followed. Or rather, we passed us. The dews grew quivering and chilling. For only gossamer my gown, my tippet only Tula. We paused before a house that seemed the ceiling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the cornice but a mound. Since then it is centuries. But each feels shorter than the day. I first surmised the horses' heads were towards eternity. The vigor and uproar of life moved her. Someone else's life is long, but another is short, and all of them are limited. So before death comes to pick us up, we should perish our lives. Maybe this is what Dickinson wanted to tell us through this poem. This poem is death in her imagination. Not only has Emily a unique imagination of death, and she also experienced the death of families and friends. Therefore, there are still some poems about real death. In the poem, I have seen a dying eye. I have seen a dying eye run round and round the room in search of something as it seemed, then cloudier become, and then obscure with fog, and then be soldered down without disclosing what it be. It were blessed to have seen. In this poem, death is uncertain, and at the beginning, the eye is searching for something, but we don't know what he's looking for because only a dying people have this feeling. Death is inevitable. What can you see when you are dying? What about after death? All of us, these the life people couldn't know. Maybe only when a person is dying or he or she would understand the true meaning of life. So the pattern of construction, Emily's poetry broke down broke through the tradition not only in terms of image but also in the terms of construction, including the wording and the rhetorical devices, the using of punctuations and the rhythm, the lexical structure and the rhetorical devices, a root of evanescence with a revolving wheel, a resonance of emerald, a rush of cochineal, and every blossom on the bush had just its tumbling head. The main from the tune is probably an easy morning's ride. The first sight is that the poetry is a series of words representing various images. The most novel thing is using the color to describe the sound and movement. The picture bursts into vividness at once. This way, linking hearing, sight, smelling, tasting, and feeling is known as synesthesia. But just catching the lovely images can't tell us what the mysterious poem is portraying. Actually, it is a hummingbird. This kind of bird is delicate and has colorful feather which presents different colors under the sun and a beak as slim as needle. When they are gathering honey among flowers, they can fly forward or backward, also can hang in the air. Now we know that this poem emphasizes sudden action, the sudden of the sound of quivering, the splendid colors, and the general impressions which faded in a twinkling. Emily's skillful and lively wordings demonstrate a talent here, describing the swings the wings when the hummingbird flies. She used a revolving wheel. The emerald is used to portray the sound when it is flying, and its beak is the rush of cochineal. Then the reaction of personified flowers at just tumbled head. The last two lines compare the hummingbird as a tourist coming and going, leaving no trace. Personification, metaphor, synesthesia, and exaggeration are all used very appropriately. A lived and a delicate bird appeared in front of us. Conscious is another feature of his poetry. Look at this poem. Fame is a bee. It has a song. It has a sting. Ah, too. It has a wing. There are 18 words in total in this poem, and if exclude the repeated words, there is only 11. No splendid adjective, no important verbs, only 5 nouns work actually. They are fame, be, song, sting, swing, and the sentence pattern is simply two. Even a child can understand this poem, but didn't fading. On the contrary, it become more charming while it is being unsophisticated. The dew-like, sparkling language covers Emily's view about fame. Fame as a song, also a sting, which implication of good fame and bad fame. Fame also has a wing which can help you to fly. It can give you a bright future. Personified fame is alive, so it gets out of control. If you think Emily never used rare words, her poetry maybe has become too stiff. Sometimes, in order to express more powerfully, Emily Dickenson chose some rare words, such as scientific terms or some words from Latin. Her poems is just like a pretty girl after making up looks more beautiful in the poem. There is no frigate like a brook to take us lands away, nor any coursers like a page of prancing poetry. This travels may be the poorest state without oppressor. Toll, toll, how frugal is the chariot that bears a human soul. A word has not only conceptual meaning but also associative meaning. In this poem, in order to lead us into an imaginary world, Emily compared literature to various means of transportation. She picked up some words which can stir up readers' romantic association. If we change the frigate into ship, there would be no hardship and adventure. If we change courser into horse, we couldn't see its prettiness and speed and vigorousness. And if we change chariot into bus, the book would lose its power and the charm of the whole poem would fade. The words in some poems have new meaning because they are embodied Emily's understanding of life, just like the words in the following lines. The carriage held, but just ourselves and immortality, were towards eternity. So again, safe in the alabaster chambers lie is the meek member of the resurrection. In Dickinson's poems, the word related to death, such as coffin, grave, tomb, and so on, don't make us feel freezing, horrible, and despairing longer. And death is like a sweet, warm, and peaceful home. and shelter like home, chamber, room, inn, door, which is longed for by tired people. And at the moment, death is solemn, sacred, and full of beauty, love, music. In Emily Dickinson's dictionary, death has new meaning. So many poems are the examples of Emily's skillful image, use of rhetorical devices, such as a person, as a poem number 986. A narrow fellow in the grass occasionally writes, you may have met him. Did you not? His notice suddenly is the grass divides us with a comb, a spotted shaft is seen, and then it closes at our feet and opens further on. He likes a bogey echo, a floor too cool for corn. Yet when a child and barefoot, I more than once at morn have passed I thought a whiplash, unbraiding in the sun. When stooping to secure it, it wrinkled and was gone. Several of nature's people I know, and they know me. I feel of them a transport of cordiality. But never met this fellow attended alone, without a tighter breathing and zero at bone. Although the image depicted in this poem is a snake, and we cannot see even one snake, however, through the like sound, the repetition of sound, S, the depiction of the animal's shape, long and thin, and suddenly combining reader's own experience, it is not difficult to know that the poet was describing a snake. In this poem, Emily handled rhetorical devices skillfully, like personification, hymn, metaphor with a comb, alliteration, a spotted shaft is seen. Additionally, using the comb and shaft, she revealed the snake's movement when he was sliding in the grass in the terms of wording. Emily did a great job in American literature. The morphological structure. Exactly. Emily is also famous for using a lot of dashes in a poem. Generally speaking, the dashes have three functions. The first one is to represent pause, transition, and ellipsis. The second one is to make poems sounded like music. The third one is to express transcendental meditation and profound introspection. For example, the poem Fame is Where we have just mentioned before. The first dash is coming after the song and make this line sound like the singing lasting. The second dash is after the sting, which can make you feel being stung. It influences on sight. The third dash gives us a feeling that the fame is flying. It also works inside. Please read another short poem. Pres- Presentiment. Presentiment is the long shadow on the lawn, indicating the sun goes down. The notice to the startled grass, the darkness is about to pass. In the first line, there are three shades. Not only they divide the sentence by different ingredients, but also form the pause in terms of meaning. They impress meaning deeply, and because of the three dashes, the speed of this line slow down, and the feeling of moving gradually aroused, so that we can feel approaching of the shadow. It seems that I am watching the darkness overflowing the lawn little by little, and a feeling of suffocation spreading in my body. But so we see that our academic experts, so irregular capitalization can often be seen in Dickinson's poetry. Capitalizing at her pleasure is another remarkable feature of Emily Dickinson. She used irregular capitalized words in the middle of lines, breaking the traditional way so that to get an unexpected effect, the capitalized words emphasized and drew readers' attention. At the same time, they recorded the poet's real and complex feeling about life. Dickinson's irregular capitalization are more effective than the irregular small letters. These words are just like drum beats beating in my heart, conveying the rising and falling of the poet's mind, copying her rhythm of emotions. In the following poem, the capitalized words have several functions. The brain is wider than the sky. If one put them side by side, the one the other will include. With ease and you beside, the brain is deeper than the sea. For hold them blue or blue, the one the other will absorb, as sponges buckets do. The brain is just the weight of God, for lift them proud for pound for pound, and they will differ if they do, a syllable from frown. At the first function is precise, like brain, sky, you, etc. The second, repeat and stress the rhythm, the emotion to embody the poem with musical beauty, such as the blue into blue, pound for pound, etc. The last one, parallelism is a comparison or comparison. For instance, sponges, buckets, syllables from the sound, and so on. Additionally, in order to stress the theme, the words which are related to the image are capitalized. For example, room, door, box are the metaphor of grave, coffin, and people destination. They are related to death, so they are always capitalized in death poems. So the metrical structure in poetry, the sound is an important way of feeling the world and expressing emotion. Dickenson often breaks through the traditional rhythm to make the language fresher. Let's appreciate a poem number 28280. I felt the funeral in my brain and mourners to and fro. Keep treating till it seemed but that sense was breaking through. And when they all were seated, a service like a drum kept beating, till I thought my mind was going numb. In the first stanzas, the ions of the first two lines are both relevant, really relatively neat. However, come to the third line, treating, and beating, turn off suddenly. This kind of breaking through copies the heavy footsteps of people carrying the coffin and plays up the horrible atmosphere on the funeral. Let's look at the rhyme. In the first stanza, the diphthongs are used, which make a gloomy, melancholy, and dreary atmosphere in the poem. Among them, the short syllables and the beating cooperated like the raindrops striking flooded severely all the sounds. The grave becomes deadly still. Another poem he fumbles at our soul as players at the keys before they drop full music on. He stuns you by degrees, prepares you brittle nature for the ethereal blow. By fainter hammers further ahead, then nearer, then so slow. Your breath stand to strengthen, your brain to bubble cold. Deals one imperial thunderbolt that seals you naked soul. The first half uses the neat and well balanced rhymes to compare with the tune played by the players. In the last half parts, the dashes become slow and obtuse to build a horrible and intense atmosphere and make the poem and it becomes more mysterious. Nowadays, the researchers on Emily Dickinson abroad become more and more. She is a great poet and as important as Whitman to American literature. Today, we discuss the imagery of poetry and the ways of her creation. However, the research about her is not enough in our country, especially the people and the things that influenced her. For example, the relationship between metaphysicals, the influence Emerson has on her, even the relationship between her and Edgar Allan Poe. I hope more researchers about this aspect can be done.